So, we're all familiar with Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, August 28th, 1963. He has this magnificent speech on the steps of Lincoln Memorial, and actually he was supposed to speak earlier in the day, but they asked him to go last to help unify all of those other voices, right, who, had different directions they were trying to go in. What is interesting about his speech, when you're in school, this is the speech that you learn, and it happens to be a speech that he was not necessarily that impressed about. So he writes his speech and he's delivering this thing, and as he comes to the end, Mahalia Jackson is probably one of the greatest gospel singers, certainly of her day, if not of all time, is on the platform, telling him about the dream. Now, Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker was on Doc's staff, and he said, he had heard that I Have a Dream ending about 20, 30 times. He says, listen, he told Doc he needed to change his speech. The night before, August 27th, Doc is at the Willard Hotel working on the ending of his I Have a Dream speech. So he's got a completely different ending in store. Had he gone through with that, listen, this would not have been the I Have a Dream speech. It would have been the, marching to the Great March on Washington speech. We're marching up to Zion, or the Big Payback or something, but it would not have been I Have a Dream. And yet now we know this speech as the I Have a Dream speech. But here's what's interesting. When Mother Mahalia Jackson is telling him, tell him about the dream, up until that point, he's looking at his notes, he's reading. But at that point, he ain't looking at his notes no more. He's looking up, he's looking away. Clarence Jones, who was Doc's attorney and speechwriter, turned to somebody and said, they don't know it, but he's about to take them to church. He's about to take it to church. And of course, we know how that thing ended. Absolutely magnificently. Well, here's the takeaway. As a leader, you have to cast vision. You have to know where you're going. You don't just try to wing it. You have to have a vision as to where you're going and how you're going to get there. But there are moments when you may have to alter that mission. You may have to make an adjustment in the middle of it. And when it's in the middle of it, a whole bunch of stuff is going on. But he was able to recognize that he needed to change his ending. And in this particular instance, he was able to recognize from someone else. You got to be secure in your own leadership when you can take the advice of somebody else. And of course, listen, him ending the way he did, it made all the difference. A leader has to be adaptable, has to be able to make adjustments in the middle of the mission.